subscribe. Tariq Radio. Like and subscribe.
Pot odds in the building. Pot odds in the building. Shout out to everybody in here. We're in here deep. Pot odds.
Happening.
What's up, Pot?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Uh, listen, I'm a white guy. I hope you guys get what you want to get so we can put the past behind us and move on.
Okay.
Your beef is with the federal government. And to be honest with you, I think you need to go after London as well. Because the plantations were a lot of the proceeds from the cotton trade was given back to London, not the United States government. The federal constitution as we know it wasn't in place for the Confederate States, and the cotton trade was ran out of London. So the reparations, with all honesty, should come from London.
No, it's going to have to come from the U.S. government because we couldn't get out of slavery.
Well, I would like to reply to that.
Hold on. We couldn't get out of slavery because of the U.S. government. They had the Fugitive Slave Act. So when we would run off to escape the plantations, they would use the federal government's Fugitive Slave Act to go get us.
Yeah, but the southern states were not underneath the Union Constitution.
Yeah, but they were all working together, sir.
Well, there's a doctrine of law, and Mr. Tariq, what I'm saying is that you have two.
You're gonna slow down. You're not just gonna start talking. You're gonna slow down. There was slavery in the North. The slavery started in the North. All right. There was slavery in New York, slavery in Massachusetts. There was slavery in the North. It wasn't just in the South, sir. All right.
I'm aware of that, but we do know that the cotton and tobacco trade was predominantly in the South because of the weather of the farming.
And that's only part of what was going on in slavery. We weren't just picking cotton and tobacco. We were doing way more than that. We were clearing the brush. We were building the bridges, building the initial cities. We were, in many cases, designing some of the buildings in the city. Benjamin Banneker helped design Washington, D.C. Horace King helped design many of the bridges and the buildings in the South, the foundation of Black American enslaved man. We were doing a lot of the medicine and coming up with agricultural techniques to make the crops grow. So we were doing way more than just picking the cotton and the tobacco.
Yeah, I understand that. I get it. There's more to it. I understand that. I'm not saying that there's not. You guys should have in my opinion, there needs to be a discussion about white reparations as well. There's a book called White Cargo.
I know about that book, sir.
And not all white people that came to this country came on their own accord either.
Right, but the white people who were indentured servants, they did get reparations because after the
I didn't get no reparations.
Yes, they did. After the 7 or 10 years that they worked, they got something called freedom dues. They got money, weapons, and land. So they were compensated. They were not.
Black people got some land too.
Right. Who got land?
I mean, we go down south. There's quite a few African families, black families on land that's been there for many years.
Yeah, we had to buy our land. We had to get out here and the money to get land after slavery.
So let me ask you a question.
Come on now, you're not going to rewrite history on this phone.
Well, listen, it's one thing about life. We all get to pick the version we like. Let me ask you a question. So let's say you get everything you want. What happens then? So what's the future of America? I mean, what are we going to do? Like, because there's so much damage done in this country because of the current constitution. The biggest problem with this constitution is that Congress has control over the money. And the Confederate Constitution was the reason. That was one of the big differences between the South and the North, was the Confederacy wanted to succeed because they did not like the fact that Congress controlled the money. As long as Congress controls the money and the federal government controls citizenship, what solution do you see? Is there a certain amount of money that the black community can receive and for, let's just call it a peace treaty? or do we still have to live underneath this debt owed? How long does this debt owed thing goes after you guys get paid?
Well, damn it, if you pay the debt, let's see. How about paying the debt and let's see how
That's called extortion. Because once you pay the ransom, negotiations have to have.
you know what extortion was? Forcing people to work on plantations for centuries. That's the extortion. The extortion was chattel slavery. We couldn't get out.
I got,
We had to
I understand,
get out of it.
but that happened. Now we got to talk about the future.
Right now, we
So
got to remedy. We got to remedy the past because the benefits from that extortion, which was slavery, the
yeah,
been passed down and maldistributed to the dominant white society. They locked in the resources racially. And then the debt has been passed down and locked into our society. We've been having issues because of that debt. So you have to remedy the debt, sir. Wouldn't that
hear you. So once the debt is settled, what is the treaty? Meaning where? So if I was president of the country and I could write you a check,
mm-hmm.
uh, and right the wrongs for the greater good,
Yes.
because it is the greater good theory.
Right.
The greater good is to make whole on the debt. That's what people should do.
Right. The problem is, you got to really look and see what the problem is. The problem isn't us. We're the victims of white supremacy. So the question is, will you guys still want to practice white supremacy after the
Yes.
debt is paid?
Yes.
Okay, then.
So white supremacy is not your problem,
Yeah,
just like black supremacy is not my problem.
no, 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 no. Slow it down. You can't, first of all, there is no black supremacy because it's an oxymoron. You cannot have white supremacy and black supremacy. That is logically impossible. Supreme means end all, be all, no higher than. Two things cannot be supreme. So there's only one form of racism that is systematic. That is systematic white supremacy. And that's a word that comes from your community. We didn't make that up. Your community told us over and over that this is all about white supremacy. They put it in the laws, they put it in documents, they put it in case studies. The Supreme Court case with Dred Scott, they were emphatic about a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect. The white race is superior, the black
Yeah,
people are inferior.
all that.
They what?
I get off. But I'm talking man to man, white man, black man.
Right,
We write you a check. We right our wrongs financially. We pay off the debt.
right.
Go our separate ways. How does that look?
Again, if we get our money and when we get it, because the money is going to be paid, what do you want to do? It's all about you. What do you want to do?
Okay.
Because I'm
So are you
going to
deferring? Are you deferring in
hold
this?
on, hold on. 'Cause what I'm going to do, like when I get my check, I'm going to invest in some real estate somewhere. I'm going to put it in some real estate, put it in a trust. I'm going to do things like that and just chill and kick back. Now, when we
Okay.
get the money, what are you going to do?
I
Go ahead. Go ahead, Joy.
it was a double mute.
Okay.
Um, you, you could just ask me to. You could just ask me to step back, and I will. You don't have to keep using the mute button.
Because
Um,
talking and you're talking over, so I don't think you can.
yeah, this is a good conversation for me because I really would like, personally, for this country not to fall into total decay,
Right,
for the greater good of everybody.
right.
And to be fair, there is debt that is owed, and I think any reasonable man would say that.
Mm,
I think anyone that denies it just is unreasonable.
right. Now, Joy, your family is
Yeah.
Italian?
No,
Where's your family from?
Dutch.
Dutch. Okay. And oh my
I'm,
goodness, now you want to talk about somebody who owes the Dutch East, them Dutch,
yeah,
they were bringing people over here to New York. They were early with the slave.
yeah, we were. My lineage, my family fought the Revolutionary War.
Right. Yeah, that Dutch
So
East India Company,
I'm not.
main ones that was coming out of Amsterdam. Yeah, they were some of the main slave traders. But yeah,
Well, we were being sold to Spain too. You know, that's the story of Sinterklaas, right? Little sneaky Petey selling the little white kids to Spain. There's been white slavery, brown slavery. The Arabs used to castrate the Africans. That's why there's no blacks in the Middle East, is because they cut your nuts off. But I got a question.
yeah,
We give you the money.
uh-huh,
I'm the president. The white supremacists give you the money.
right.
We sit. This is prison politics.
Hmm.
All right, this is prison politics. It's one of these things where you gotta, in order to have peace, you gotta have agreements.
Right.
So we give you the money,
Mm.
you get reparations, everyone gets paid in full. Uh, these conversations, then when we start grouping up, having racial division, isn't it better that we just segregate again and just kind of live amongst each other in peace with segregation? Would you agree?
Well, we're already segregated.
No, we're
White people
segregated.
generally don't live around black people at
That's not true.
it is very true. Y'all have whole states where there's about 1 or 2% black people. Places like Utah, Wyoming,
Yeah, yeah.
some South Dakota, Idaho. There's very little black people in these places. Y'all have whole white enclaves all around this country.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that's a lot of that expansion in the United States of America, which I don't even really consider America. I call them basically territories. If you're west of the Mississippi, you might as well be Mexico.
No, slow down, slow down. Let me slow you down on that. No, y'all got all of that free land. You talking about some handouts during the Homestead Act, all of that land west of the Mississippi. All you had to do was be white and fill out like an application and pay like a $10 filing fee, and you can get all of this land that we black people, foundational black Americans, could not get that land. So you guys were getting all types of handouts and goodies, just
Yeah.
based on race. And now you want to complain that they're
No, well, Paraguay's doing that right now. So you could go down to Paraguay right now, buy 5 acres for $500.
we're in Paraguay.
The reason I'm bringing up Paraguay as an example is because that's a country of South America. That's the largest white European immigration country in the world right now. That's where all white Europeans immigrating to.
And
And the reason why is because Paraguay is giving away land practically for free. And that's how you spur development and expansion, is by giving incentives. Now, I do, like I said,
and we're talking about over here. They didn't have to even pay $500. They got the land for free. All you needed to do was be white. And that land, people still own it. The land has been passed down and it's been generating wealth and resources over all of these years. So families who
not white America. See, I live in Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland's first mayor was an Irishman. Lord Baltimore comes from a town in Ireland that was named Baltimore. I live in a black city. Baltimore is ran by blacks. Black Mayor Scott
not
Westmore is the
it's not
governor.
run by blacks. White people
Well,
run it behind the scenes. And if the black
no,
get
stop it, Mr. Tariq. You can't.
Oh no, we're gonna stop right there. I done been out to Baltimore, sir. You have black figureheads. The minute those black people get out of line, the real white people who run the show, they'll pop up and let you know who's running things. With Marilyn Mosley, when she was talking about prosecuting cops, the real white people from behind the scenes came out and smacked her hand and let her know who was the boss. So yeah, it's run by white people behind the scenes. Let's not.
Well, what state's not ran by white people?
Right, all of them are.
No, okay. Well, then I guess you don't belong here, then, D.
I do. This is our
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If everything's ran,
Yes, yes, we do. Just because we've been invaded and dominated by the white supremacists, that doesn't negate the fact that this is our homeland and we are indigenous to the United States because foundational Black Americans built this country that you immigrated to. We didn't immigrate here. You see?
well, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think a lot of that is Caribbean immigration.
No.
I do believe the French and the Spaniards brought you here, not the English or the Dutch. I do believe that the French and the Spaniards did. The gentleman that founded St. Louis was a mulatto. He was a light skinned black man. There's a lot of history of
Slow down. Yeah, there were a lot of them. I'm have to mute you so we can interject here. There are a lot of Black people and mulattoes who founded cities all over the United States. We have footprints everywhere in this country, even in some of these lily white states, places like Oregon. It was a black man who was the fur trapper who was one of the original people up there. Then later on, they banned black people from even living there. But yeah, we founded a lot of these cities, and we were some of the first explorers in these cities and towns and states in what would become the U.S. This is what I'm saying. We are the indigenous people of the United States as foundational
Right.
Americans. But go ahead, sir.
So okay, fine. Okay, so it's 2025.
Right.
You obviously you've self-admittedly said you don't control anything.
We don't.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, we're just for the conversation point. You don't control anything.
We don't.
You don't. You have no power. You have no. You're victims of the direction of the white man.
White supremacy.
All this is true.
The,
All this is true. Barack Obama wasn't black. Kamala Harris wasn't black.
oh Lord. Kamala Harris and Obama, these were two powerless tokens, sir. What power did they have? They didn't do anything.
Well, Mr. Tariq, for such a strong people group, I have to ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Tariq, the question is, what is your plan to win? Because money's not going to get you power,
Mm.
and you're never going to have Elon's money. So even that American pack between APAC and George Soros and Elon Musk and everybody that owns all the goddamn Bitcoin and all these people that have private wealth because they're all Jews
Mm.
or they are Mormons because Mormons have an extreme amount of wealth. Um, where even if the black community was paid in full, how do the black people get power back over this country?
It's all about being equal. Our thing is not about dominating anybody. We like things to be equal. We don't have a desire to rule over and dominate people. That's what our civil rights movement was about. Our thing was, hey, we can turn up and start smacking people around, but we just want everything to be equal. I want you to understand something. We could have wiped people out in this country a long time ago if we really wanted to. There were black people during slavery who were more populous than the white population. There were many times we could have just went up in the plantations and started slitting throats. There were some black people who did that. There were sanctuary areas like the Great Dismal Swamp, a place where white people couldn't go. They could have started killing white people willy-nilly, but that wasn't their objective. We don't
You know, I tell everybody that I tell white people that all the time because it's kind of funny you say it that way. Because I told them one time, I said, "Listen, if these black people wanted to kill us, man, I said it wouldn't be hard. I live in Baltimore. If those young black kids want to come across the city and they want to shoot up the east side of Baltimore, there's nothing stopping them but themselves."
Mhm.
I agree with that.
Right,
I 100%
right.
agree that restraint is being shown by both people groups. But I don't think it has much longer to go. I think a lot of people are thirsty for blood, unfortunately, because of the stress of the world. And I don't know how it'll play out because when it comes to war, a lot of times it just comes down to who has the high ground and who has the most ammo.
Mhm.
But uh, so are you saying that would you think the black community be okay with something like a reservation where you have like a sovereign nation inside of the country?
Yeah, we would like some of the same deals that some of the Native Americans have because, yeah, they get a great deal. They get all types of benefits, medical, no tax. They get financial stipends. So, something along those lines that would be great. We just need the same compensatory justice that other groups received. The Japanese, when they were put in internment camps for a few years, later on down the line in the 80s, they were compensated. They didn't have no special reservations for them. You didn't have to do all that, but they were just compensated as you should compensate other groups. When there were some Italian immigrants who got lynched think in the late 1800s down in New Orleans, their families, and they were compensated. And I think the U.S. had to throw a couple of dollars over there to Italy because they were tripping out about it. So when other groups are harmed, there is compensatory justice because we are indigenous to the United States. We don't have a country that we immigrated from. So this is our only place. So we have to absorb a lot of the abuse, and that has made us spiritually and psychologically tougher, and we could withstand a lot of stuff, and that has amazed people. And we're still standing up saying, hey, we still need to be compensated. They didn't break us spiritually. So the right thing to do would be to compensate us, because here's the thing: the white supremacist community, the birth rates are a problem. That's a major problem because they self-segregated. See, white supremacy and segregation is about the white supremacists segregating themselves. And they get into these segregated enclaves. And what happens is when the numbers dwindle, you guys get into almost an incestuous thing. So that really creates a lot of neurological diseases and issues where your birth rates are declining even at an accelerating rate, even more accelerating rate. So now the birth rates are real bad in the white supremacist community. So you're not replenishing those numbers. So what are you guys going to do about them birth rates? Because you might not even be here that much longer.
Yeah, I've ran the I've obviously with artificial intelligence we can run the projections. It's about a 200-year problem. Now, I will say there's dilution, obviously with interbreeding on both sides, right? Because when a black baby's born by a white mama, that baby becomes black.
Right,
That baby's not white, right?
right.
Even though when you have 3 generations of, interracial, right? When that mixed race baby has a baby with a white woman, and then that baby has a baby, that the child is gonna look more white than he does African.
But
Um
here's the thing with that. But there's always the risk of a throwback baby. That's why you guys have an issue with the Hispanics, because a lot of the Hispanics, many of them have a phenotypical white look, but they got a black abuela back home in South America, Central America, Latin America. And a lot of them, when you interbreed with them, sometimes them babies come out with them little afros, and that skin is very, very dark. So
and sometimes they don't.
yeah, sometimes they do,
Uh,
but yeah, sometimes that
Sometimes they don't.
that
You never know
but
what's being pulled. The point is I would say that a lot of the conversation is kind of a scoreboard. It's like, well, this community's having this problem. I mean, look at the black community with diabetes and heart disease. It's much more powerful in the black community.
right,
The life expectancy of a black man shorter than a white man. But those are points on a
hold
scoreboard.
on, and let's go into that. Why do we have genetic
Well, I don't
eating?
think it's necessary because let me explain.
Hold on, let me come on, hold on. You're saying we gotta open this up. We got to get into it. Why do we have diabetes and genetic high blood pressure? That came from slavery. See, this is what I'm saying. This is why the compensatory justice is very important. We were forced to eat foods that were somewhat bad for us. We had to eat certain foods that were bad. We had to make the best out of it, but we were forced to have a certain diet that became a genetic problem later on down the line when we weren't working it off all damn day. And then we kept eating these certain cuisines, and oftentimes they led to genetic diseases that would plague us to this day. So again, there's a lot of negative ramifications that are held over from slavery. The forced illiteracy, they were forcing us not to read, and so much. It was so much.
Oh yeah, one of the big epiphanies I had, I went down to the Bible Museum down in Washington D.C. and they showed me the slave Bible.
Right.
And that was a big turning point for my own personal education was when I went down to the Bible Museum and they had it. It was actually a series that they were going by, and they took a lot of books out of the Bible.
Yeah, they did. They did.
They gave it to the slaves, and a lot of it was,
Mhm.
be a good slave to your master, and so So yeah, there are documents. There's plenty of written history in the Bible. Just go in the history of the Bible that blacks have been manipulated by white colonizers.
Hmm.
Now the question I have is, if we were the ones colonizing, wouldn't that make us the superior race?
No, because if somebody comes in your house with a gun and
Uh,
they're making your family bow down and taking all your stuff, that doesn't make them superior. That just makes them more degenerate. So we've been dealing.
well, I guess it depends on. I guess it depends on how kind the person is holding the gun.
No, no, holding the gun is.
They could have killed you.
It's like saying there's a nice rapist, right? Yeah, there's a
No,
rapist. There might be a
no,
rapist who's a rapist is soft spoken when they're raping you, but it's still rape. Same thing with the slave masters. It was a dirty, degenerate game from top to bottom, and we just don't have that mindset of selling babies. That's something that black folks we just couldn't fathom. Taking babies and then selling the babies into slavery. That's not even in our spiritual disposition. But the white supremacists, that was something that they were cool with. So we just couldn't fathom that level of evil from a human being. And we still can't fathom that and wrap our minds around it now. So some people can be more degenerate and have a superior position over people. And that's what the white supremacists did.
so that would be comparable to who could be the most brutal in prison to keep the hierarchy at top, right? Because like if we go prison politics, let's say we go into prison tonight. Let's say we go to Hagerstown Prison,
Hmm.
and, we talk to the gang. We talk to the gang members in there. Obviously, you're going to have black politics, white politics, and then you have other politics.
Right.
Uh, Black people control the prisons, right? So there's black supremacy in
There's
prisons.
no black supremacy because they're locked up by
Oh,
the white.
okay.
So you ain't
But it's
you
still a
still got
crime to get
you
there.
still got to answer to somebody. Also,
This is what I'm getting.
also
This is what I and I, listen.
saying no, you know, because you still the people running the prisons are white.
I really root for you, Mr. Tariq, and here's why I root for you. I stand up with any.
Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Uh, oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I root for you. Um, I really do. I root for you, and there's two reasons why. The first one is I don't have to agree with you to respect you,
Right.
and that's being a man. You don't got to agree with somebody, but you can still respect them.
Mm.
And here's the second reason I root for you because if this doesn't get solved, everyone's going to die. That's the truth.
Mm.
If this situation does not, the black community is in charge of this country.
How so?
Well, here's how. Number one, you control the cities.
Not really. We just don't.
Well, you control the important ones.
We don't.
Let's call it like it is. The East Coast of the United States, 90% of all the wealth in this country lies between Richmond, Virginia, and Boston, Massachusetts. Wall Street and that printing press in Washington, D.C. controls all the money. And it just so happens that the East Coast is where a majority of black people live. So I believe that the cities that you all have the potential of being in leadership positions are more important than someone being the mayor of Nebraska. Like Eric Adams has a more important job than someone in a city in, let's say,
And let me slow you down on that. Eric Adams again. Eric Adams, they put charges on him. So yeah, they can control us by just putting charges on us. We don't control anything. They'll put a black figurehead up there, but they'll just put charges on them. They can do all types of things behind the scenes to get these black people out of there. Let me get my brother Robbie Blue in here. Robbie, chime in, please.
What's going on, Tariq? I was initially going to respond to the topic in the space.
Oh, well, yeah, Rob. Was there a double mute, Rob?
yeah, probably.
Okay, let me get Robbie. Let me see if Robbie can get back. Robbie, get back, Rob.
Yeah, can you
I
hear
can
me?
hear you now. Yes.
Yeah, it was a double mute. What I was going to say was I just had a couple of questions for Joey because he said something very interesting. He brought up Congress and how there was a beef about Congress and them, controlling the purse strings and the South wanting to separate. He mentioned that, and then when you guys were having your back and forth in this master's class, he also highlighted segregation as soon as the prospect of us getting reparations. It seems like uh, segregation seemed like to be something important to him. But then when he talks about his personal lineage, he brings up the Dutch. And what I find very interesting is like anybody who was not here before 1790 or 1776, for them to even critique Black people, not even on reparations, but just our plight here, is a little uh, questionable to me, only because like when I think about the history of Europe, let's say in the last 100 years, I find it interesting that the Netherlands cucked out to Adolf Hitler.
Mm.
Adolf Hitler, they were spreading that Nazism, and you had a lot of people who were afraid because they maybe had some Jewish ancestry or they could have been an undesirable. So when people start talking about othering us and kind of putting us in ghettos and all of that, and then people bring up the prospect of violence, because you didn't bring up violence, but he was like, I think that people are getting tired and we don't know how long it's going to last. If anything, Black people have been more civilized. All these laws that they have about being civil, I think it's more for them to contain the caveman inside of them
Oh,
as
I
is
agree.
opposed to
I
us.
agree.
So
Robbie,
hold on,
Robbie,
wait,
Robbie,
sir.
Robbie,
I'm almost there.
you
I have a question
100%.
for you.
Praise
Hold on.
Jesus on that one.
Wait, I have a question for you. So my whole thing is you bring up prison politics. It seems like segregation is important to you, and you almost kind of have a little bit of a eugenics twist. So guess my whole thing is, can you elaborate more on this whole thing about the purse strings and the South being, I guess
Yeah,
being
so
upset.
the southern states had a constitution and a president. And one of the biggest rifts between the Union and the Confederacy was Congress controlling the money. The Confederacy knew that once the federal government got control of the money, it was over. What the Confederacy wanted was the money to be controlled by private. Wanted to be more private than it was federal. Now, as far as segregation, like Mr. Tariq said, we already are segregated when you look at it from a percentage, because Black people overwhelmingly live on the East Coast. Further you get west, the more white it becomes. And then the third thing is, you are 1,000% correct about the white people. They want to kill everybody, and I tell everyone, and this is not bragging. I don't share that. Meaning, I don't want to kill nobody. I don't want to see blood and guts. I would rather go out of this world as a man who has spent some time in Afghanistan. I'd rather go out of this world not killing somebody, because I don't know if you know what that smells like, because it's a bad smell. When you smell dead bodies laying there for a couple of days, shit, yeah. When you
One
get
thing
your
I
water
can tell
softened.
you, Joey, as my dad being a Vietnam veteran
My
and me
father
being a
was too.
veteran, hold up, and my dad and me being a veteran myself,
Yeah,
typically, and even in the streets, people
Kunar Valley,
who
motherfucker.
no, I'm saying
Kunar Valley, Death
people
Valley.
who've
I went
really
there.
been through
Yeah.
trauma don't talk about it,
Nah,
and they
I
really
think
don't
healthy
wish it.
people talk about it.
So
Now
so
let me finish,
I'll say
Robbie.
this, but
Let me
hold on one
finish,
second,
Robbie.
Tariq, if you
Robbie,
could,
please.
Joey,
Thank you.
Joey, slow down. Joey, slow down. Let him talk. Shit. Go ahead,
right? Because
Yeah, but you asked me a question. I wanted to tell him.
okay.
Joey.
The main thing that I'm trying to get to that he was alluding to, which kind of ties into this whole thing about states' rights, which is kind of the finesse that I think Elon is doing. See, if you look at the Turner Diaries and you look at a lot of this white supremacist paraphernalia they've been putting out for the last decades, their wet dream for a white ethno state is to basically change the Constitution, quote unquote, wink, wink, give the rights back to the states, and pretty much do what he was already suggesting: either have us segregated, which you talked about that in a previous space, Tariq, that, if they even try, if they even dream. See, it's one thing, like, what did Bruce Lee say? Boards don't hit back. It's one thing for people to have this idea in their mind, of what the lick back would look right. And I would pause them to question, because the generation of white men today are like Hitler with soy milk. I mean, you got Elon up
No,
there.
that's not true.
No, listen, you
That's
got
not true.
Elon up there doing that that Tourette's neo-Nazi salute. You got JFK Jr. up here stuttering like he's the one that got a bullet in his head. And then you got all these people that are pocket watchers, and they have the nerve to try to sweat us about what's owed to us, but then they'll talk about the Jews screwing them over. They'll talk about big government and this and that and the third, but they're able to be a DEI hire and work for the government. And here's the thing, it's like, if you were considered a citizen after 1790, you had a head start. So anybody right now that feels like the system's not working for them and now they want to have this big great reset, a lot of that is masked in a lot of this pseudo-scientific Darwinism. It always comes to some eugenic stuff. That's what I want our family to understand. And I take people very seriously when they have some of these veiled threats. But what I really truly believe, as you would say, maybe the elites, they already know that a lot of y'all are soft as baby shit, that you ain't going to do nothing. And they don't trust you. That's why they're investing in AI and this and that and the third. You think you have a seat at the table, but you're cannon fodder as far as like
None of this means anything. This is hyperbole.
No, it's not.
The reality of it is this is an opinion from one mind. The reality of this conversation is very simple. That rhetoric means absolutely nothing in the real world. It's a good barbershop conversation. I get it too. I like that. But what the thing of it is that rhetoric is why this all needs to just end, or
Joey,
it's
can I
going to
ask you a
end in a
straight
war.
question? Can I
We're
ask you
going
a
to
straight
have a war.
question? That's what I'm saying. I want to ask you a straight question. Do you
Yeah.
feel that we're already in a race war?
No, this is not a war.
Do you
And
feel that we're headed
let me give
towards a
you some
race war?
instance.
No,
There's a white prison gang called DMI.
I'm asking, do you feel
I'm
like
gonna
we're
give you a
headed to a race war?
conversation, young man. There's a white prison gang called DMI that's sanctioned by the Black Guerrilla family that carries out prison murders for blacks. Do you know how intertwined blacks and whites are in the criminal world? See, the thing of it is that when you go to college and you go to these higher institutions, you're around. But when you go on the street, there's only one thing that matters: who can be more violent. And Robbie, what I'm telling you, there's a lot of white boys, a lot of black girls, a lot of Asian girls, a lot of Hispanic girls that are some bad mothers. And it don't take a man to pull a gun. It takes a man to make peace.
Can you answer my
It takes
question? Do you
more
think,
of a man to live in peace
can
than
you
it is
listen for a second?
violence.
Can you listen
Cowards
for a
live in
second?
violence. You
Got you. We
understand
got
what I
you.
said?
We totally get you.
Cowards live in
I'm
violence.
asking you a direct question. Do you feel that we're headed towards a possible race war?
Listen,
And do
my
you feel like
friend,
there's a lot of white supremacists feel that way?
I'm going to tell you something that you already know. I'm going to answer your direct question. If this racial bullshit ain't put to an end within the next 48 months, it's on. It's straight the on.
I
And
just wanted
here's
my
why I'm going
family
to
to
tell
hear
you.
that.
Oh,
And
hold
Tariq,
on. Let me
respectfully, go ahead.
elaborate. And I want to make sure that I'm speaking for myself. It takes a real man to live in peace. Cowards live with
Now,
violence.
Joey, hold on. You said it's on. When is it not
Yeah.
on? It's always been on. What's going?
For you, it's always been on.
It's
But the whites, this is what I'm trying to tell you guys because I like you. I don't have to agree with you, but I like.
slow down. I want to know what its own is, because when has it not been on with the white
That.
supremacists? When has it not been on? They've been on us all along. So when has it
Yeah.
not been on?
That's why.
What are they going to do that they have not already been doing, Joey? That's the question to you.
That is exactly a good question because your people have been terrorized
Mm-hmm.
and your people have been in a war for a long time. This white generation, see, I know what it's like to be hunted. Maybe you and I share that in common. I had a race of people wanting to kill me. I was wearing a military uniform,
All right. All right.
but I had a race of people that wanted to kill me. So did you. So do you.
You know, he's just babbling at this point. All right. I don't want to hear no more babbling. Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you, Joey. Yeah, when I ask a direct question, I want a direct answer. I don't want all this talking in circles and all that. In 48 months is going to be on. When has it not been on? Yeah, that don't work. Those are like little scare tactics. It's been on. It's been on for the last 400 years. It's been on. Yeah, these scare tactics are not going to work. These people have you've done every and anything to us, and we've still stood strong as foundational Black Americans. Queen, hop in, beloved.
Hi, Mr. Tariq. How you doing?
Good, Queen. How are you, dear?
I'm okay. Okay. First, let me answer. I got like three things to say. I'm be real quick because I know it's a lot of people up in here. To answer, why did the Democrats lie about Trump canceling Black History Month? The same reason why they lie about everything.
Right,
They lying about oh, you gonna be next, what we gonna be next for? And then
right,
they got me second guessing, like, damn, what they got planned, like, I know he can't be deported, but what they got, what they got planned for us. But
right,
and then they just love twisting Trump's words. I even shared some videos. I'm gonna share it up in the purple pill too, about what really happened. I got videos to share with you, Mr. Tariq, about what really happened, what Trump was trying to say about the DEI hires for
right,
the people, the air traffic controllers.
right, right.
And this was during the Biden administration. I think May 2024. Um, something. Oh my goodness, I forgot what it was. Oh no, it actually started during
Let
the
me
Obama.
let you get your thoughts together because I got some other things. Just get your thoughts together and have you call back up. Have you call back up because I still want to address what Joy was talking about. See, I wanted y'all to study the conversation. The conversation was heavy. See, what they like to do, they like to argue about the differences each conqueror has. He kept talking about how the South was upset with the North because they wanted to control the finances. Yeah, that all they were doing was fighting over who gets to dominate us. That's not a conversation that benefited us from either side. Both sides wanted to figure out who's going to dominate and control us. The North happened to get control of the country. And then when they got things together, they made a deal with the South and threw us to the damn wolves. Remember, they had something called the Great Compromise, where they had a little deal. The North had a deal with some of the salty, defeated Southerners who were still upset, and they had federal troops down there protecting Black people. They made a deal like, hey man, let's get on the same page, and we white. We're gonna rock with each other. And you know what? We'll take our troops up out of here and we'll let you guys do whatever you want to do to these Negroes. And that's exactly what they did. And we started getting lynched left and right. Federal government didn't do shit. You see? So yeah, they argue on who gets to control us. Once they settle it and everything, they shake hands. It's all right, let's go back to abusing the Negroes. You see? So this guy kept asking about what are we going to do if we get our reparations? No, we're going to do the same thing we've always been doing. What are you going to do? What are you going to still practice white supremacy? That's what the question is. And then all of the veiled threats like, yeah, if things don't get right, it's going to be on. Man, you guys have done everything to us. And again, if it's on, it's on. We don't really take open abuse too lightly. I mean, y'all got to sneak up on us. Listen, let's be real. Y'all have to sneak up on us and corner us around in order to get your lick back. That's cowardly within itself. You know you can't really go hand to hand direct because that's going to cause too many problems. That makes us turn up. And historically, listen, like I said not too long ago, the cost of harming us is high. We made the cost harming us high. We made it high in the 60s. We started to make it high in the 80s and the 90s. Y'all look at some of the racial uprisings that happened. Down in Miami, when you have the McDuffie riots in 1980, though some white supremacist race soldiers pulled over a black man. I think his name was Arthur McDuffie, pulled him over for a traffic ticket. Then they took him somewhere and bashed this man's skull in and then tried to lie and say he had a motorcycle accident or something. And then they went to court and acquitted all of the race soldiers who did it. And the black people were already on edge because they had just flooded Miami with a bunch of damn Cuban immigrants. Remember around the McDuffie riots, that happened right around the same time as the Mayo boat lift out of Cuba, where Castro sent all of those Cubans over here, and they allowed them to come, by the way. It was like 125,000 Cubans flooding Miami within months. So they were being given all types of federal money, just like now. They were brought in and given jobs. So they were really marginalizing the black people down in Miami. So the black folks were already feeling a certain way about that. That energy was up in the air. And then you have these race soldiers kill this black man. So the FBAs out there in Miami turned the hell up. They turned all the way the hell up. They started snatching up random white people up out their cars, out the crib. They started turning that damn city up. A lot of folks don't talk about that Miami race riot. That thing was heavy. Like damn near a couple of dozen people got killed and hundreds got injured. They were turning up down there. And they had to send the city of Miami $100,000 bill. You understand? The cost is high. You harm one of us, man. The cost, sometimes the cost is very high. And out here in LA, when we have the LA riots pop off, there were white people getting snatched out of cars, people running up in white folks' cribs. They try to act like they're not affected. They're burning down their own community. No, let's be real. We're getting white people snatched up out of cars, cribs, the whole nine. And things was happening to them. And then the city of LA got $1 billion bill. You understand? The cost is high. Rodney King didn't even get killed. They just beat him. He didn't even get killed, but that beating ended up causing several murders and $1 billion worth of damage. The cost is high. You can't sustain a society trying to have that type of direct racial targeting. Not with us, because we turn the hell up. You're not going to come at us with the direct bullshit. You got to do it on the sneak. You see, so talking all that shit, it's on. No, y'all too used to sneaking up on folks. Y'all used to sneaking up on people. Yeah. And if y'all try to get busy for real, toe to toe, that ain't gonna go like you think it's gonna go.
Got me coming back to you.